Ni Cristo, or the Church of Christ in Washington State, donates to the Northwest Harvest Food Bank amid the COVID-19 pandemic. In Seattle, we have friend Alpha Heron with the details.
Thank you, Ken. So here are some facts that we need to know about the need here in Washington. Now, because of COVID-19, there are a lot more people, a lot more Washingtonians in need for food. Prior to COVID, you know, the food banks anticipated about 800,000+ Washingtonians in need for food. However, during these times, it has actually doubled with a projected, an estimated 1.6 Washingtonians. Because of this, the lines outside food banks have continued to increase by the day. Now, the great news is the Iglesia Ni Cristo Church of Christ never lost sight of doing good to the community. So they put in place an event called Aid to Humanity, and they did a food donation drive. In Washington, the Iglesia Ni Cristo Church of Christ have about 20+ congregations. And since they're, you know, we're practicing physical distancing, what they did was all the members of the Iglesia Ni Cristo, they all went to various sites to drop off their donations, and they actually had a record. They broke their own record. They told me that just last year, when they held the same event, donating to Northwest Harvest, they were able to bring to the facility 60+ boxes. But this year, they were able to put together 117 boxes of donations. And upon arriving to the facility, the workers of Northwest Harvest was actually fairly impressed. They said this is the largest load yet they've seen this year, and they are truly grateful for the Iglesia Ni Cristo Church of Christ community. And, you know, we had a chance to speak with one of the ministers of the gospel by the name of Barry Thompson. And what amazes us all is that despite the times that we live in, you know, people have lost their jobs. It's a very hard time. So we asked Barry Thompson, you know, though we are living in trying times, was it hard for the members of the Church of Christ to go out and share in their donations for this event, Aid to Humanity Food Donation Drive? Let's take a listen to the interview.
And you know, in addition, it's not very difficult to get the brethren to unite in doing missions or activities like this, because our executive minister himself has set these things up long time ago, and he spearheads activities like this all over the world. So we have already a pattern that even when times are difficult and uncertain, we're able to still be able to help our community in the way that we're doing it right now. And so we want to always remember our executive minister and thank him always for his great leadership.
Awesome. And that interview with Brother Barry Thompson, you know, there was a lot more to that interview, but what I gathered from him is that no matter what, you know, the Iglesia Ni Cristo has such a huge heart for the community that it doesn't even matter what kind of situation each family house or each household is in, they will always go out of their way to give back to the community. So we really thank the Iglesia Ni Cristo Church of Christ and Brother Barry Thompson for, you know, giving us and sharing his time with us to explain that to us. Seattle, Washington, Friends Alpha Heron, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ken.
Thanks, Brendel. So I believe the Church of Christ there in the Seattle region had a similar event last year. I think it was called INCMX, right?
Yes.
What are the similarities in the philanthropic nature of that event with this past food bank?
Okay, well, there are the number one similarity between the two is that it was a community event. The extent, the gravity of INCMX was at a whole different spectrum. At the INCMX that was held last summer, 2019, all of the congregations, 20+ congregations, they came together, congregated at the Seattle, in the Seattle location parking lot. There were about 40+ booths. They had game booths, food booths, photo booths. They even had live shows. Now, a lot of the community members, as we had the chance to go back, we were able to cover a story during that time. A lot of the community members and neighbors were just so highly impressed, and you know, they were ready to pay for what they were receiving. But the Church of Christ, they did this out of care. Everything was for free. And so it was an extremely fun event. And, you know, going back to Brother Barry Thompson, he is actually one of the hosts to a show titled Face the Truth. And during that day, they actually had a live taping of Face the Truth. So we could actually replay and go back to this day and watch more shows of Face the Truth on the Iglesia Ni Cristo's website, incmedia.org.
So, Prendel, you yourself, you actually host a couple of shows on EBC. I think one of them is like Unfiltered Discussions, the other one's The Vocal Chamber. These shows provide not just entertainment, but hope for its viewers. You know, times like this where we're facing a national, global pandemic, and then here in the U.S. and throughout the world, I mean, there's also civil unrest. Now, what kind of message would you send out to inspire and provide hope to those that need it the most?
Thank you so much for that question, Ken. So with the Vocal Chamber, I'll kind of break it down by show and its mission. So the Vocal Chamber is a music show where we bring in E25 artists and artists alike that are not necessarily E25, and we talk about, you know, their inspiration behind their music and their craft. And oftentimes, if not 100% of the time, is to inspire the world. So E25 Records, you know, we are always out there to bring out the wholesomeness in our music, to provide that hope and have always a positive message to the listeners, because we all feel as artists that music heals. If there's anything that's going to bring us together aside from food, Ken, it's music. And so from the Vocal Chamber's perspective is that we just hope that everyone, especially during these times, when you're listening to music, be very choosy on the types of songs that you listen to. You know, you want to make sure that you're listening to something that will actually uplift your spirits, and not the violent type of music, but something that makes you feel good. You know, be very selective with what you put into your ears and into your mind. And you can see and you can listen to all of these types of songs actually on E25 Records on E25 Records, even on YouTube. Now, Unfiltered Discussions, the premise behind that show is to bring together people from different walks of life, you know, different upbringing, from different career fields, and come together and talk about the different challenges that we face, you know, and not only the challenges, but how are you overcoming these challenges? And the kind of message and hope that we can give to all of the viewers and the world is that during these times, we have to be mindful on the things that we focus on. You know, our minds and what we see on social media can be very negative. As human beings, naturally, we gravitate towards negativity. It's very easy to be negative, right, Ken? So, for example, when we're driving, right, and someone beside us displays road rage, right? What do we instantly think as a safe driver? We're like, what is this guy doing? Like, he's about to run me over, you know? We don't think, oh, maybe this guy actually has an emergency to attend to. Maybe his family is hurt, or maybe he has to use the bathroom. Like, we don't think of the positives in these situations. So as humans, we like to be negative. So in the show, we talk about all the positive things we can grab from each situation and how we can use that to really create a healthy environment, not only within our minds and within ourselves, but within our families as well.
Yeah, so speaking of that, I mean, on that same line of thought, you have your message of hope via music for the Vocal Chamber. You have a message of hope via discussions, for Unfiltered Discussions, right? What's your message of hope for your own family, for your husband, for your kids?
Thank you again for that very personal question, and I love it. So what my husband and I talk to our children is first we have to bring to them the reality of things. You know, our kids aren't in front of the TV watching the news, you know, but they do know what's going on. They know all about the pandemic. They know about the riots that's happening, the looting. Also, most importantly, they know about the positive protesting that's going on. So we make sure they know what the reality is, and we have to tell them, though there's negativity, we have to focus. And just like I said prior to this, is what can we do as a family to stay healthy, not only mentally, but physically. So we make sure that we spend family hour together. We make sure our family likes to pray together. We make sure that we communicate with one another. We check up on each other. How are you doing? And things like that. Just keeping the lines of communication open to my family. And what I'd like to tell them is that they know I love them, and that they could always speak to me. They could talk to their mommy anytime about anything, and that we will get through this together.
Brendel, your words are very inspiring, and we appreciate the inspiration that you provided the viewers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ken.